Charlton, Championship Addicks. They've won the League One playoff final. They've beaten Leyton Orient by 1-0, a Macaulay Gillesphey free kick, no less. And they are bobbing along into the second tier for the first time since 2020. Nathan Jones has led them there, George, beating Richie Wellens Leyton Orient in a pretty classic playoff final, which was decided by a moment of quality, which frankly in the final third were few and far between, as we often expect.
I think we have to define the word classic there, because I think many would say that was not a classic in any way, shape or form in terms of a game. But yeah,
there won't be reruns of it on Sky Sports.
Classic in terms of it being like a typical playoff final for many reasons. I think we knew this was going to be a pretty low-scoring game, two sides where, well, certainly when Charlton play, the game normally descends into attrition. And in this occasion...
What about calling YouTube wankers?
Yeah.
Okay, if you want.
You know, I think Orient fans are going to feel frustrated, as they will feel like they had the better of the game, but I think game state played a massive part in that, and you know the underlying numbers and everything else might suggest it was fortunate in many ways for Charlton, but this is what Nathan Jones does. This is what Charlton do. They are incredible at defending their box. They're incredible at stopping the opposition from creating good chances, and they have ways to hurt you, and I think we always thought set pieces could be the deciding factor, but probably in terms of their aerial threat rather than Macaulay Gillesphey putting one in from 25 yards. But that, as soon as they went ahead, Charlton just a terrible team to go behind to. And as well as Orient did to fashion some opportunities and go close, it was relatively comfortable in terms of the actual chance they created.
They are, Charlton that is, a team that are exceptional at playing a match on their terms. And that's what all teams, no matter what their tactical approach is, that is what every team wants. If you're a possession-based team, you want to be the team in control of the ball, in control of territory. That's the whole idea. If you play like Charlton, there are other ways of making sure that the game is played on their terms, and I think that was the case. We are not going to go over the top and suggest that this was a sparkling attacking display from Charlton. Tyrese Campbell, who didn't make a huge impact early on, was the man that won the free kick with a nice little jink inside and was brought down by the centre-back. I think it was Beckles. That's what wins the free kick. It is scored brilliantly by Gillesphey over the wall. Little too central for our liking when it comes to Keeley and nets.
It's like a bad wall, and I think Keeley will want it back in terms of... I think with a free kick from there, if you're putting it at kind of that kind of height and not in the corner, I think you probably expect it's going to be saved. Keeley's obviously been a massive player for Orient this season. He's played his part in what's been an incredible campaign. But yeah, I think the goal feels avoidable.
It's not a newsflash that in one-off games, goalkeepers are really important. And finishing is really important. The Championship playoff final summed that up with Patterson making 2 sensational saves for Sunderland and them scoring 2 of their few shots in the game. And you could say similar here, where Charlton barely took any shots over the course of the whole game. They scored 1 in the first half. They didn't really feel the need to in the second half. And unfortunately, Keeley didn't do what he's been doing so well all season and save that shot. It would have been interesting to see how the game played out in the second half had it been 0-0. Leyton Orient were able to fairly well and fairly consistently build possession often down the right hand side with Galbraith, with Ajay, with Donnelly, but they never quite put it all together in one attack. When they worked it well and got into a good position, the shot was blocked, the cross was overhit. If Ajay went byline, Edwards tended to get across and block the cross. And you know, the flip side of that, it's clearly frustrating from an Orient point of view, attacking execution just not as good as they know it could be with those individual players. But I do think sometimes, and it's not very sexy to do this, the individual defensive displays from Charlton's defenders to win their 1v1 battles, whether it's defending someone who's trying to beat you down the outside or get a cross off.
You actually fronted up to me there.
Whether it's blocking a shot that comes in, whether it's heading a cross away, as they did dozens and dozens of times. Like, there's an individual skill defensively that can't be overlooked here.
Yeah, I think Jones is the obvious one. It felt like we saw him head the ball about 175 times today. And that, to me, I think there was a moment halfway through the second half where Orient created a couple of opportunities, not massive chances, but came close. Curry, the deflected shot just wide, and then Kelman hit the bar with a deflected shot as well. And they it felt like their most dangerous moments came, and even a free kick which they won on the edge of the area, which hit the wall. The most dangerous moments came when kind of Donnelly in particular got the ball into feet, kind of 25 yards, 35 yards out from goal. And the last 15 minutes, so that didn't happen at all. So I think we've got to give Coventry credit for that. I think you're looking at the wide players in terms of Curry, who I thought was excellent on the day, but the last 50 minutes or so was just Curry on the left or Williams from the right, swinging balls into the box, which was, if you ask Nathan Jones how he'd want to defend and how he'd want Orient to attack, that would have absolutely been it. So massive credit to Charlton for the way that they saw the game out and they managed the game. We were here yesterday and saw a team fail to do that. And if you compare the chances that they were able to create yesterday in terms of Sunderland compared to Orient, who were effectively going to rely on a deflection going their way or a strike from range going in.
Never cut them open, did they? There was 1-2 between O'Neill and Donnelly in the first half in a tight area where O'Neill was able to get a look at goal, brilliantly blocked by Jones. Basically the only time you could say that a Leyton Orient attack even got close to slicing Charlton open.
Yeah, and it was the way they bounced. There was a moment where they felt like they were under the pump and they stood tall and they managed it well. And that's been Charlton all season. It's been an amazing second half of the season for both teams, but Charlton were not in a good spot in mid-December. You and I went with Mark Bonner last season to the final game of Michael Appleton's reign, where they lost to Northampton, and it was desperate. And it was actually poisonous in the stadium that day. It felt like a club who completely lost its way again. And the appointment of Nathan Jones and the work that the new ownership group have done since coming in over the last 14, 15 months mean the club is in a completely different place. I just, for a guy who deals with a lot of flack in terms of the way he carries himself, in terms of the jobs that he did at Stoke and Southampton, which for some reason seemed to dominate the conversation around Nathan Jones rather than the jobs he did twice at Luton and at Charlton. He's unbelievable. And it's also the shift in style. Like, this is a guy whose Luton team that he built played an expansive, attacking style of football. Now, given a different set of players, he's developed a completely different style of play. And that, I think, is a sign of a good manager. Adaptability, an ability to work with players and play winning football in different ways. And it feels like, as an Oxford fan here today, there's no question who I wanted to win from a purely perspective of I want teams in the Championship who are likely to go down. And it feels like, compared to last time when they went up with Lee Bowyer, who's done a great job, but it feels like Charlton with Jones in charge. The ceiling hasn't been hit today, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, that first Luton side, the first promotion teams in the Diamond, which was very sexy indeed, and James Justin and Jack Stacey spring to mind as flying fullbacks. I mean, his Luton team that he built in the Championship that Edwards took up was quite like this, was kind of launch and squish, and it is very, very clearly not a bad way of playing in the Championship. As long as you can build a squad with the levels of physicality needed to implement it well, that's going to be, I imagine, the onus this summer in terms of recruitment. They will want to add a bit more size and speed at the top of the pitch, depending on Lee Burn's injury situation, depending on Tyrese Campbell's future. It's hard to know exactly how they will approach recruitment. They did it very well last summer and clearly built this squad, which Jones has used expertly well. There's a lot of players that I think should be able to step up well and continue to be the nucleus of a good team, and I think that's always a good sign for any team coming up, where you've got Jones in particular, you've got Kane Ramsey, certainly the midfielders of Coventry and Doherty, who have just been, they are not sexy by any means, but I think in terms of all-round midfielders to play exactly the right way in this team, they've been excellent, and both will go well, I'm sure, in the Championship next season. So, they will probably have to do some work to certainly retain and build on their set-piece threat, but probably improve as an attacking team, as a counter-attacking team, moving up a level. But that will come, and Jones is no stranger to the Championship, and he will know exactly what to do on that front. To win in League One, which they have done pretty consistently since November, they needed to play this way, and it's taken them all the way up. I mean, he is a remarkable man, a man of strong faith, as everyone saw at the playoff semi-final second legs. But football managers in this game, those are the ones that are held up as gods, right? They're the ones that get called the Messiah. And
don't know how you say that.
From a Charlton point of view, actually two of the most devout managers won promotion this year with Darren Moore and Nathan Jones, which it does make you think. It does make you think. Charlton continue their incredible record of winning finals, winning playoff finals. Their fans absolutely immaculate again. They didn't have as big a moment as the Patrick Bauer goal, which we enjoyed so much a few years ago, but their support, particularly towards the end of the game, was very, very notable, and I think helped the team get over the line. But it's an incredible day for Charlton. Congratulations to them and their fans. Many, many years, almost every year since we started the pod 9 years ago, you've been a League One team, and in almost every single one of them, you've been a Charlton team in League One that has been less than the sum of its parts, that has been wronged by those running the club in terms of building a good football team, building a good fan experience, and it's been a real pleasure to watch that be turned around this season. It's something that we massively enjoy, and coming to the Valley now feels different, and that's really, really special. So can't wait for Charlton to be a Championship team next season in what looks like a sparkling Championship renewal. But George's last line on Leyton Orient, who had an incredible season, up from League 2 as champions, mid-table in their first season in League 1, finishing the playoffs. You can't really ask for a better trajectory than that. They got past Stockport in impressive fashion, albeit with some fortune with the goals that they scored in the first leg and obviously the penalty shootout. And they acquitted themselves okay here without doing anything special enough to beat this obdurate Charlton team. And they have a bit of a tough summer ahead in terms of squad building, in the sense that 4 or 5 of their best players, Keeley, Curry, Kelman, Donnelly, are all loanees. A couple of other loanees that will head back, which aren't so much of a big deal. Galbraith, as has been reported on heavily, is wanted by a number of Championship teams and others. So this is going to be a huge test for Richie Wellens, who at this point you have to say is probably their best asset.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we talk about the players who are probably going to leave now, and any ideas, I guess, that they might have had of, like, if they can stay up, maybe, so if they can go up, maybe Spurs will send Donnelly back and Keeley back, and maybe they could sign Curry full time. I think those probably die today, sadly. But what I would say is it's shown that there are very smart people working recruitment in Orient. The fact they were able to the recruitment last summer was so strong, and also, if you're a Premier League club looking at where you want to send your young players at the moment, I think Orient's probably high on that list if you look at the way the players have been developed this season and how Richie Wellens has worked with them. So I think they're in a really good place. As you say, keeping hold of Wellens is probably the hardest task. Like, there are 5 Championship jobs, I think, up for grabs at the moment, maybe 4 up for grabs at the moment. It wouldn't surprise me if 1 or 2 more come up as managers are poached by other clubs in the coming weeks. So Wellens should be in the frame for those, in my belief. Like, what he's done at Orient has been incredible, and I thought it was always going to be tough today, and to concede the way they did will be frustrating. They acquitted themselves really well, and just frustration that they didn't get the break with those 2 efforts from range, squeezing the right side of the post.
He's done an incredible amount with this squad, whether it's showing Donnelly how to be a senior player. Clearly a fantastic talent, but took a bit of time to get going this season, and Wellens deserves lots of credit for sticking with him and coaxing the best out of him. You could certainly say the same for Charlie Kelman, who Wellens has always believed in, so much so that he brought him back to the club when previous year's goal-scoring record hadn't been much to write home about, ends up as the league's golden boot. It's a remarkable job that he's done. The team's so much more than the sum of its parts that the worry is always, how many years can you keep doing that? It's very, very difficult to overachieve every single season, and that is what Orient have done. So massive job in the summer for Martin Ling and Richie and co. Obviously new majority shareholder announced in the last few months, which normally would come with a little bit of extra backing, maybe a little injection of transfer funds. It's going to be fascinating to see how they stack up in League 1 next season, which has lost its biggest shark in Birmingham. It's lost a very big shark in Charlton and, of course, in Wrexham. In coming down from the Championship, I wouldn't say that Argyle and Cardiff, and I always forget off the top of my head who else went down from the Championship.
Luton.
But Luton Town, of course, who will be the parachutey shark. But a lot will depend on Bolton and Huddersfield and how well they retool ahead of next season. But right now, I hope Orient fans aren't feeling too doom and gloom after what's been an unbelievable season and an incredible journey with so many great moments. So, any final words on the League 1 season, George, as we tool up for League 2's playoff final tomorrow?
No, not really. Just Charlton. I think maybe there's a lesson in Charlton's season. Again, a manager who it's taken him a bit of time to get his fingerprints on the team and start getting results. And often it can take time, and it's another lesson that maybe managers deserve a bit more patience and not to expect automatic results, and that good things can come to those who do not sack.
We knew when Charlton signed Gassam Ahadme, gave him the number 9 shirt last summer, that they meant business, and they've backed it up. Promotion to the Championship, Charlton Athletic winning at Wembley. A fantastic day here. I hope you've enjoyed the recap pod. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel as well. Plenty more where this comes from. Starting tomorrow with Walsall against Wimbledon, we'll have a reaction pod and video straight out not long after full time. Thanks very much for listening and watching to Not the Top 20 podcast. Go very well.